Hi, I'm Victoria, your host for the Business Growth Crowd show, and I'm delighted to welcome our very special guest, Azhar Islam, who is also one of the co-founders and owners of the Grand Sultan, where we are today. So, Azhar, I know absolutely nothing about you, which is a good start. So, tell us about I want to know about young Azhar, where you are and how you got to this country, and then talk about your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, it's a bit of an eclectic journey, actually, I guess. I was, I feel like I've been born in the UK, but I wasn't. I was actually born in Bangladesh, but my granddad was in the UK. Then my father was in the UK. My father's family, his mum, everybody was in the UK. It just happened to be my dad went to Bangladesh to get married, and then my older brother was born. Then I was born, and then we ended up coming back to the UK. But my dad was in the UK since he was a child as well. And one of the first memories I have is in a restaurant. And the reason for that is because my father was a restaurateur, and he opened his first business, and we used to live in Conway, North Wales.
Oh.
All right. And that's where he had his first restaurant. It was called The Standard, and it was an Indian restaurant. So the first memory I've got is basically playing in the restaurant, having drinks and things like that, just going behind the bar, grabbing a Coke when you're not supposed to have it, and things like that. First job, restaurant, my dad's restaurant, right? I used to fold napkins for a Kit Kat, right? And those kind of things. So I've always been in the restaurant environment. And one of the challenges, and I think I'm facing that challenge now as well myself, is while growing up, we were, I did my GCSEs, did my A-levels, went to university and things, but I was following that journey because it was almost expected, especially for my father, he had 6 children. So I've got 3 sisters, 2 brothers. And his expectation was just quite a simple one, but could be a challenging one as well, where he wanted all his children to be graduates. He doesn't care about anything else. He didn't care what you graduated in. He didn't care about the topics you did, but you have to go to university and you have to do that. And I wasn't naturally interested in academics. I was interested in knowledge. You give me a book, I'll read it in a day, right? I'll pick it up and I'll read it, whatever that might be, right? So if it's a chemistry book, and if I start reading it, I'm reading the whole thing. Right? But if you ask me to study for an exam, I'm not doing it. I don't know why, but that's just how I was. And that was challenging for my father to get me through that journey of getting me to become a graduate. And funnily enough, I, did A-levels, dropped out a number of times, went to university, dropped out because I didn't like the course. And then I discovered Open University. And because Open University have a modular system where you can choose what you want to study. And I just kind of managed to graduate, only because Open University gave that option. Otherwise I probably wouldn't have. But I learned a lot from there. I learned a lot about myself as well through the Open University, through my studies. And because I did the humanities and the arts subjects mainly, I kind of developed a passion for the arts, passion for writing, for films and things like that. Even eventually started my own team to kind of make films. So we've got Hidden Tiger Productions that me and Ahad, who's one of the restaurant managers here, is my nephew. So we set that up together just before COVID. And the reason we set that up was because one was I work in the corporate world. I work as a risk manager for a global American firm. I go around the world. I've traveled around the world for them. But it's not, I love my job, and I am passionate about what we do because it's employee benefits, and you're dealing with HR consultants, and you're kind of trying to improve the scenario for people, for the employees, right? The benefits help them. So I'm very passionate about my job, and it's helped me open my eyes to the world kind of thing. Always open my eyes to the world because I've traveled for them, met so many different people from across the world. But also in that period, one of the things I was kind of always feeling is like, you know what, I've got these skills that I developed through working with my father in the restaurant, through my studies as well. And there was always a feeling that I've got a gap, right? And whenever I had an opportunity to kind of come out of work and maybe do some work in filming or write something, I always took on that opportunity, whether it's marketing material, writing a short story for a magazine, or writing poetry and going and doing, stand-up kind of poetry and things like that. I would take that opportunity to do it. And that's the only time I felt like I'm fully awake kind of thing, right? And then the other gap was the restaurant. So, I mean, my dad passed away about 9 years ago. Before then, he had quite a large Indian restaurant by a cliff, a beautiful place called the Bikash in Folkestone. He had a takeaway there as well. And he also used to have another restaurant there as well that he sold. And then, before he passed away, I think about a year before, together, we had a plan to open a restaurant. We always used to talk about it. Like, okay, if you did a restaurant, what would it be like? And I was like, well, if I did a restaurant, I don't know about the cuisine. I'm not sure if I'd go with the Bangladeshi Indian cuisine. I'd probably go with the cuisine that I like, but I'm not quite sure what that would be. But it would probably be something Middle Eastern, something Turkish, because I love that food. I love I used to go to Edgware Road a lot. I love the Lebanese food, and I love Turkish food. And maybe it would be something along those lines. But I don't want just a restaurant. What I wanted was something that kind of celebrates the food, not just you're coming in to eat the food, something that celebrates the food. And I didn't really figure out what that would be. But through Hidden Tiger Films, we made a documentary called Made in Luton last year. And it wasn't my idea to make the documentary. It was one of the team members, Sonia. She came to us with a project, and we were able to get funding for it from Revolution Arts, that's supported by British Arts Councils and people like that. So we managed to get funding for it, and then we were kind of sat together exchanging ideas on what this should look like. And in that process, what happened was actually Luton has a kind of a bad rep in the media, and it's always getting voted like one of the worst towns to live in the UK. And one of the reasons for that was because in Luton there's an area called Bury Park next to the football stadium, where it's just that area's just got a bad reputation, and it's a ethnic community, and there's predominantly it's British Asians, but there are Eastern Europeans, African people. It's a multicultural mixed area, but when you go there, you don't feel like you're in England, and the reason is because you don't see as many white English faces, right? There's less of them, and in the town, the area's got a bad reputation. And in my years, I've lived in Luton, in Bury Park. I've lived there for about 2 years. In fact, that's where I met my wife. So I've lived in the late 90s. And while making that documentary, at the end, when you conclude that documentary, we're talking about celebrating diversity. Come here, get to know us before you judge us. And once you get to know us, you'll see that who we really are, all the prejudices and all of that disappears. And that's just natural, right? That's what happens. So come and get to know us. And that was the key topic. And that's when I thought about, actually, that's it, right? I can do that through food.
Yeah. And
right.
People to us.
Yeah. So bring people to a place that celebrates the city's diversity and I suppose, the multicultural society we live in, right? In Milton Keynes, it is a multicultural city, right? Very. So, and I was like, okay, so how do we do that? And I was talking to Mohammed, and I think over a number of years, we were having a discussion, want to find a restaurant. I was looking at different locations. And all I was thinking about at that time was just food. What's the food going to be? We're going to bring people in, and we're going to kind of have different cuisines and have different events and celebrate the different types of foods that we can potentially cook in Milton Keynes. We talked to Syrian people, we've talked to Lebanese people, Arabian, Turkish, Bangladeshi, Pakistani, we spoke to African people as well, so especially people from Somalia. And we had a number of discussions, and I thought, oh, you know what, we can do this, right? But we need a foundation, right? But couldn't find a place. And then one day, I think Mohammed explained in his interview earlier of how he found this place, and he came to me with it, and I was like, "That's too big, right? The place is too big, it's too expensive, and it's huge. I don't know if I'm ready for that." So then I was like, "Just come and see the place." So I came and saw the place, and even then I was a little bit kind of, this is too expensive. And it's too much overheads for, especially where I want to just kind of start. And he said to me, don't worry about the finances. We'll figure that out. If we can figure that out, do you think this place is a good idea? And I was like, it's actually perfect, because it's next to the
good salesman, isn't
it? And it is perfect. So I was like, it's next to the theatre. It's next to the, is it called the MK Arts Centre?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's next to the MK Arts Centre. These are people I know. And it's a world I know. And I was like, this is an ideal location, 12th Street Theatre District, for what we could do with this place. So the discussion was, we'll do the food, and we'll start with the foundation of Turkish and Arabian food.
Yes. But
the intention is to celebrate the cultures from the Ottoman Empire, and beyond, where it reflects the community of Milton Keynes as well, the multicultural community of Milton Keynes as well. How can we work with them and celebrate that diversity that all of these communities bring to Milton Keynes here? How can we do that, right? And can we do it through food? Yes. Right? We can definitely do it through food. Because if you want to get to know people and get to know a culture, what better way to know it than through food, right? So we're like, okay, let's set this up. Let's set the foundation. Now we've set the foundation with the Turkish and the Arabian cuisine. The next step is how do we organize events that, where you feel like when you're coming here, you're not just enjoying the food, but also the surrounding, the music around you, the performers around you celebrates that as well. So if we, for example, did a Somalian night, what do we need to bring in that day as entertainment, and what we talk about that goes with the food, right? And that's the idea. So we are planning events at the moment. I think without getting political, because I don't want to go there, but one of the events I want to organize at the moment is celebrating Palestinian culture through food and their arts and everything, because we're always seeing what's happening in the news, but what we don't really experience is who are these people, or the cultural history of it. So how can I bring that in? So that's one of the events I'm working on a Somalian night event as well. And we're trying to just figure out when is the best time to do those. Do we look at national days of those countries, their celebrations that they have, and can we bring that here and celebrate that culture?
I think it's well needed, because there's other party venues around Upper Keynes that don't really cater because they're diverse. So you've definitely struck upon a market there, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
So as I will ask you the same question, so the website for this wonderful restaurant is
www.grandsultan.co.uk.
Fabulous.
And just you can book a table there. All our information is there as well. There's connections to our social media pages, and keep an eye on those social media pages, because there will be upcoming promotions and videos coming up. And we've got a foundation here where you've got the Turkish and the Arabian food with a set menu and different specials coming up every week. But if you follow us on the social media pages, you'll find exactly what that is. And come and enjoy it.
Thank you. Well, we are delighted. As a global business ourselves, we celebrate everything, every culture. So to have a facility up the road from where I live.
Yeah.
Doing this is amazing. So let me shake your hand as well for
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
No, thank you. And just before we go, just one thing I just wanted to just about the story a little bit, because the whole thing is inspired, right? And where it was, and Muhammad Bhai heard the same story, so he had the story, and that's what he was talking about, I think, when he was saying that, oh yeah, how do we merge these two stories together? The truth is, it's one story told by different people to us. And when he heard of the story, when he was telling me, I was like, I know this story as well from my grandparents, from my grandma. And what the whole concept was, and initially when I was looking to open a restaurant and things like that, I wasn't thinking of that story. It's only when I saw this place, it happened to be Turkish, that story came to me, and it was like, we can set ourselves from inspiration from that, basically. And that's the Grand Sultan story. I think there was a Sultan Suleiman. I don't know if it's a legend or a true story, but it was a story that was told to us. And the story was, just to cut it short, was there was a Sultan, the leader of the Ottoman Empire at the time, the Khalif, I suppose they used to call him. And he wanted to celebrate his empire with a feast. And to create that feast, he went to different regions of his empire. So he went to places like Uzbekistan, Syria, Lebanon, the Levant and Yemen and Arabia and across, and brought together chefs. So he tasted their food, whoever he liked, brought them together back to Istanbul and created a massive feast. Right. He brought them in and created a massive feast, inviting people from his empire as well. So not just Istanbul, from everyone. So come and get to know my empire. So it's basically that. That's right. We're really recreating. It's
very creative.
Yeah. So we're just trying to recreate that. Is, we're not obviously celebrating an empire. We're celebrating the diversity of Milton Keynes, right? Yes. And bringing the different communities in. So anyone out there who's got an idea, I had somebody who came in yesterday, who's of a Turkish background, and she created this dessert. And she came in yesterday and just to taste the dessert. I was like, you come at the right time because I'm thinking about my dessert menu. So let's try this. I tried. I've never had anything like it before. Okay, wow. Right. It was a pistachio based dessert, different to the Arabian desserts like the baklava and things, but the foundation is based on that. But she's created. I had it, and I was like, "This is amazing. We have to introduce this in the restaurant." So, the kind of invitation is wide open. Anyone who has an idea for a good dessert, good drink, or a good meal
or
an event, come to us and we'll organize it.
I think that's the benefit of you being one independent, as opposed to surrounded by lots of chains.
Yeah.
And please bear that in mind. So thank you, Azhar, for a wonderful interview.
Thank you.
And looking forward to what we're going to have lunchtime.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching this show, and look forward to having Azhar on our show then.
Thank you. Thank you.